York City. Home to nearly 8 million people, the Big Apple is America's biggest and brightest fine art town. A new mecca for artists of all kinds, and for 2 weeks this May, it looks to be the epicenter of a brand new art movement. The independent artists showcased here in New York's most noteworthy salon to date are among the first to step out of the post-war avant-garde state of mind. There's a sense of discovery in the air, a door being opened to a new age of art, new forms of expression, and new faces in the crowd. It's a new dawn in the art world, and it's all happening here on 9th Street. The man responsible for this gathering of abstract expressionism? It's curator Leo Castelli. Born in Italy in 1907, Castelli married Ileana Shapira in 1932, and that's where his artistic endeavors began. Ileana's father was a wealthy industrialist who sponsored Castelli's first art gallery in Paris in 1939 with René Dorine, which displayed Pavel Chellichew's Phenomena during the gallery's opening. The rise of Nazi conflicts in 1940 forced Leo and Ileana Castelli to leave Europe and eventually end up in New York City in 1941. Castelli's Paris gallery remained successful with the management of Dorine until Castelli dissolved the partnership in 1950 to pursue an art business in New York. And here he is now, hoping that this 9th Street show will be his most acclaimed yet. And standing next to Castelli is Grace Hardigan, a woman whose paintings seem almost as full of life as herself.
Grace, when did you find art?
Well, actually, when I was 17 years old, I wanted to be an actress, but then I got married instead.
How did your art story begin, Grace?
Well, when I was young and married, I moved to California with my husband, and as he went off to World War II, I took art classes at a local business.
Where else do your inspirations come from?
Just the world around me. I think fragments of daily life, color, emotion, people, experiences.
Hardigan, the passionate romantic she is, believes that her paintings should be as expressive as she is. Her work is predicated on the notion that art must have content, and it must overflow with emotion. While her life has seen its shares of highs and lows, her brightly colored, multi-layered work has remained on the leading edge of expressionism in the abstract age.
I didn't choose painting, it chose me. I didn't have any talent, I just had genius.
Inside this leased-out store are works from over 60 artists, including Jackson Pollock, perhaps the most compelling American artist working today, and Willem de Kooning, the man generally credited with the creation of the abstract expressionist style. The 9th Street Art Exhibition houses art from many of the world's most talented artists, but not everyone has been included in this historic gathering. Take, for instance, Margaret Bourke White, the American photojournalist who caught the art scene by storm with her work in combat zones during the Second World War. Photographs which captured the horrors that were happening in Europe so effectively, it seems, that they earned her a place as one of the first women to work for Life magazine. How does it feel, Margaret, to be such an accomplished woman artist and to not have your work shown here at the 9th Street show?
It's a little upsetting, but I am so accomplished in many other areas that I don't necessarily need my work in the art show. And I really want to express what's actually happening throughout our present day, like throughout my photographs, because you don't actually know what's happening in war until you have the photos.
What's one of your favorite projects you've worked on?
I'd have to say one of my favorite projects I've worked on was when I was actually in Pakistan. I had many amazing opportunities over there. For instance, I actually got to photograph Gandhi, like at the spinning wheel. And then I was one of the last people to photograph and interview him before he was assassinated too.
And do you support the artists here at the 9th Street show?
Of course, they're all amazing artists and their work deserves to be shown to the world.
Back in New York, we meet another artist. Experienced as an abstract expressionist, Pearl Fine is known for her paintings of biomorphic and geometric shapes using various brushstrokes. She studied with Hans Hofmann, which helped her career as an artist take off. Later, she was the first woman to join the 8th Street Club, where she met the man who is now giving her work a place to shine, 9th Street exhibition curator Leo Castelli. Her connection to the experimental New York school is a strong one, and her tough-talking, no-nonsense personality makes her a true New York character.
Basically, I found representational objects and I wanted to break them down into just specific colors and shapes, give them a new life, maybe a new emotion.
And what was your personality or outlook on life?
Well, I never saw myself as really anything else but a painter. I was a student at one point, but I don't see myself as one. I just see myself as someone learning how to paint.
Thank you.
Still making art at the age of 81, Henri Matisse might be the most important 9th Street figure, even if he isn't here at the show. His bright and expressive Fauvist work of the early 20th century served as inspiration for many of the abstract artists here in New York. Today, back at his studio in Paris, Matisse spends his days painting and sculpting in peace.
As a FOB, what do you think of the 9th Street exhibition in New York? Do you accept abstract art?
Yeah, I think 9th Street show is great. I never agree that there should be only one way of painting. Young artists should be encouraged to learn from different schools and before they found their own way to paint.
You were a student of Gustave Moreau. Do you think symbolism influenced your artworks most?
Gustave Moreau's opinion of color had great influence on me. And then after I leave Moreau, I influenced by Impressionism and I paint my work luxury, calm and pleasure. And then I even had a little bit while to be Cubism. After all these years of study art, I found a new way to paint, so I became a fox.
How did you turn to a new type of medium in your final years? Is that abstract art?
With the help of my assistants, I began to cut paper cuts and just to cut paper into pieces and pre-painting with gouache. And with the help of my assistants, I just arranged these pieces of paper together to form compositions. It's kind of abstract art.
The legacy of the 9th Street show can only be determined fully with hindsight, but early word from myself, art critic Thomas Hess, is positive.
What is your approach to critiquing art?
I've been working at Art News for about 10 years now, and I really dislike the formalist approach to art criticism. I think it largely ignores the struggles and motivations of the individual artists, their emotions.
And how do you feel about the 9th Street show?
What this 9th Street show is doing is really shining a light on the artist as an individual, which I feel is the uniqueness of the pieces here. As the 9th Street Art Exhibition comes to a close, we look back on what the show means for art in America. Many have championed the show's willingness to push the boundaries of abstract expressionism and to challenge artistic norms. But more than that, what the 9th Street show has done is given newfound artistic power to the American individual. From the start, the New York School and the show built around it have been tailored for artists by artists, and it's that focus that has positioned America as a new leader in the art world.